Inside Leominster is brought to you through the generous support of Colonial Insulation Company, residential and commercial insulation and fireproofing services, specializing in blown-in cellulose as well as spray foam insulation. For more information, visit their website, colonialinsulation.com.
Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the city, and just want you to know, I am the cheese. And that book and movie was written by Robert Cormier, who is a regular here at the Leominster Public Library, and often we joked about just who really is the cheese. Anyway, for today, I am the cheese. So Sonia Murphy is here from Leominster Public Library. She's the director, and we have this beautiful display here, this Chinese in the Iron Road, and we talked a little bit about it on one of our shows a couple of weeks ago about this display. But I have to tell you, I never dreamt or thought for a minute that it would be a display like I'm seeing in front of me. So tell us what this is all about, because we were on the show and we did talk about it a couple of weeks ago, but now we're actually going to get to see the display.
I'm really excited you wanted to come here today. So it's a perfect day to be at the library. It's rainy, it's gray, but plenty of people are here studying. All this started a few months ago. My coworker, Mei Lee, is the head of technical services, and she came to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about getting this traveling exhibit. What do you think? So she applied for a grant to pay for the funds to get it, and she said at the same time, why don't we plan all these programs around it?
Right.
So we have the exhibit here all month until July 10th, and we're going to have 4 programs. So we've already had a few, and they've been going really well. People are really into it.
This is something I think most people in history just only heard maybe a little bit.
It's not really anything that I ever learned.
Right.
But I love trains, actually. It's a secret fact about me. I love trains. I'm like a 9-year-old boy in that way. And this is a secret part of history that we don't really talk about that much, but I think it's really fascinating.
So last night there was an event here, which would have been Wednesday, June 19th, because
Yes.
we're showing this a week from today.
Right.
But it was the Chinese question in afterlife of slavery, and so
Right.
that must have been quite interesting.
I heard the discussion was really fascinating.
Yeah.
Actually, all the discussions have been really interesting.
And the next one is Chinese Americans, the Chinese Exclusion Act, and the ongoing question of who gets to be an American. And the speaker is going to be Benjamin Railton.
Yeah. He's from the Fitchburg University.
Right, Fitchburg State University.
That's right.
Wednesday, June 26th at 7 p.m. right here at the public library.
Yeah,
That's
he's been coming to, or trying to come to, all of the other sessions. So he's going to take everything that we've been talking about all month and wrap it up into one session.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's and you know what? Every day is a good day here at the public library, but especially in the summer months now, when we get those rainy days, people say, in fact, yesterday I got a couple and said, geez, it's going to rain tomorrow, what should I do? And I said, the public library is a perfect place to go. And I went downstairs, and there's quite a few people there with their kids today.
Well, we have a Cupcake Boss program, so
that
that's why they're here
That's
today.
the main attraction.
The cupcakes, obviously.
I would suggest that's probably what's pushing it right over the top.
Right.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so I'm going to grab Mei Lee, my coworker. Come on in. There you go. She's going to talk about the exhibit.
Well, the exhibit was sponsored by the Chinese Historical Society of America and the Chinese Railroad Workers in North America Project at Stanford University. And the exhibit is located on the 2nd floor. So Transcontinental was a large transportation project, and it covered quite a few states. It went through California, Nevada, Wyoming, Utah, and Nebraska. The exhibit is great because you get to see photographs of what it looked like when it was being constructed, and you can see what it looks like today. It's a great comparison. After Lincoln had signed the bill to authorize the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, the biggest problem was how are you going to find people who are going to construct this railroad.
Because there weren't a whole lot of people that lived in that area, right?
Exactly.
So this is a section where there were no homes, so there weren't people. So how do you get those people in? Where do you put them? How do they live? How do you bring supplies to them? So this must have been one of the most difficult sections.
At the same time, there was a lot of silver mine strikes, gold mining, so people were interested in doing that and striking it rich. And so a lot of the Chinese, they started recruiting Chinese. And they went to San Francisco, and what they had to do was ride a boat up to Sacramento, from San Francisco to Sacramento. And from there, they started going toward, as far as the railroad was built, they would just...
And Leland Stafford said, is a letter he wrote to the president at the time, Andrew Johnson, he said, the great portion of the laborers employed here are Chinese. Without them, it would have been impossible to complete the western portion of this great national enterprise, and within the time required by the Acts of Congress. Because the Acts of Congress specify, we'll give you the money, but we want it done by a certain date. We don't want this to go on and on and on, like so many other projects in history. They wanted an end date.
Well, the interesting thing was, the railroads, companies were paid by the miles that they laid track.
Right.
So at some point, they did not.
They weren't meeting their goal.
They haven't designated where they were going to meet.
Right.
So at one point, they were running parallel.
They weren't connected.
Right.
That's where the sharp turn comes in.
So during the construction, the biggest challenge for the workers on the Central Pacific Railroad was the tunnels going through the Sierra Nevada, and they were at first using glycerine.
Like glycerine?
Yeah. There was a really volatile, dangerous to work with, and then they ended up switching over to dynamite.
Glycerine is like one of those things, highly explosive.
Right.
I mean, static in your hair could ignite. Glycerine.
Exactly. So, and then among the other challenges also was the tunnels, and then they had snow, and they had snow avalanches. And you can see the snow plows they used to clear the tracks. And here they are removing the rocks to clear the way for the tracks.
It says in the Bay State Telegram, explosion at Colfax, 6 men killed from the Daily Alta, California, April 16th, 1866. And so I think the attitude at the time was, oh yeah, we can do it. And I'm not always that sure that they knew exactly how they would do it, but there really was, in that time frame, there really was that attitude here in America that there's nothing we can't do. We'll get it done. Now, somehow or another, we'll get it done. They really weren't sure how. Obviously, they learned as they went in a lot of cases, but they had physical manpower. They didn't have machinery, but they had people.
Yeah, a lot of this was done by hand tools.
Right.
And
dynamite.
Right.
But after the dynamite, you have to put things back, and obviously they ran through everything. Explosions, landslides, accidents, Indians had raided the villages, disease took its toll, everything. I mean, it's quite a thing.
And this is before OSHA.
They would never have made it through.
So here's a picture of the construction of a snow shed. So in addition to building the railroad, there was also a lot of snow removal they had to do, and that's to keep the snow off while they were working on the rails. So after the railroad was completed, you have a lot of laborers who were out of work, and at the same time there was also an economic downturn. So a lot of the Chinese became targets for violence because they felt like they were the white workers who felt like their jobs were being taken away from them. So there's some political cartoons, and a lot of this sets the stage for the enactment of the Chinese Exclusion Act. And more of that will be discussed at the next.
Right. So they actually wanted to stop the Chinese from coming into the United States.
Yes.
They looked at them as taking our jobs, and the economy got bad for everybody. So it's like anything else, right? When the economy's good and everybody's got the job they want,
right,
everybody's happy. But then when things sort of loosen up, and then all of a sudden people are, trying to pay their bills, they get upset. Yeah, they find somebody else to get upset at. In this case, it was the Chinese, who were already here, by the way. Right. They were already here working.
So this again shows some contrasts from historical photographs and what it looks like today. This is a picture of what the tunnel through the Saran Mountain, one of the tunnels would look like. And this is all either by dynamite and also by hand.
It's hard to imagine doing this, sort of this kind of construction when we've been exposed to all of the modern technology of large drilling machines,
right,
things that can tunnel under the ocean. It is amazing today, the machinery that we see out there. In fact, some of it is so large it comes on train by pieces, and then they have to assemble it, put it all together. Some of these cranes you see in Boston, they had none of that. They really did. Most of it was
horsepower.
And pick an axe, right? I mean, that's just incredible. So it has a little. I like this here: 10 miles of track laid in one day. That's incredible. I mean, that is just mind-boggling.
That was a bet between the two owners, from the east and the west, and the railroad,
to see whether they could
whose crew can do it, and that record has not been broken.
Seriously, huh?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Just incredible.
And finally, there's the completion of the railroad. This is a photograph that shows the Chinese crew laying the last tie in place. And this is a photograph of 3 of the railroad workers that were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the completion of the railroad. So after the railroad, Transcontinental Railroad was completed, some of the workers found work at other regional railroad lines. Here's a photo of a work gang at the Great Northern Railroad in 1909.
And a lot was going on in this country at about that time, and we were really beginning to surge around in this country, taking dominance in a lot of areas. But at the time, railroad was critical in the United States. Then came, the river was then important, right? I mean, a lot of industry was built around the canals and rivers, and then later on, the highway, right? Like today, it's the highway, but it's also the railroad. It's kind of everything. But at one time, if the railroad didn't pass through your state or your city, it would be basically, it wasn't a boomtown. It was pretty sad because if it didn't go by you, it left you out, and that had a devastating effect on a lot of communities. But that's why this project was so important, to move goods and people, just incredible.
So we hope you can come and see the exhibit before it leaves. It'll be up through July 10th.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Mayor Mazzarella in Leominster has been a flamingo fan, I guess. He's given them away to dignitaries that have come into town. And when he had his birthday, somebody flocked his home with a large flock of plastic flamingos. I guess he's going to be a fan even if he doesn't want to be.
I think most people know pink flamingos are kind of our adopted mascot here in the city because they're made at Union Products. But on my 40th birthday, and it's kind of the birthday you work very hard at trying to forget sometimes, but I usually go for my morning run at about 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning in the summer, and I had gotten up and got ready and walked outside and just started to run from my driveway when I noticed there were pink flamingos scattered all over my front lawn, and didn't quite tie in the 40 pink flamingos until I actually went for my run, and when I came back I just couldn't imagine because there have been other things that have been done to me. Friends have always doing things and leaving things on my front door, or signs from the old Elbow Lounge in Leominster were found on my front lawn, and so I didn't make the immediate connection between the 40 pink flamingos on my birthday, but when I got back and woke up, I started to count them, and there they were, 40 pink flamingos. Never heard the culprit put the 40 pink flamingos. And the other part of the surprise is that somebody comes mysteriously in the night and picks the flamingos up and takes them away. It took me a little while. I do know who did put the pink flamingos there. Everybody bump into for about 30 to 35 days you kind of suspect may be involved in a conspiracy to put pink flamingos on my front lawn.
And you're watching Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the city, and we're with Brittany Crosby. Kidding. She has her own record player. People are you know what's funny? People are beginning to, we thought, right? Jack and I thought, we've seen the end of the record player. Yet, it seems to be, I saw a place the other day called Just Vinyl. And I thought, what? Just Vinyl? And here we are, it's just a store filled with vinyl.
It's back.
I'm glad I didn't throw mine away. So tell us what's happening.
So we have a collection called the Library of Things here at the library, and it is all things that are not traditional library things. So not books, not DVDs, you know, not things that you would expect to find at the library, but all of these can be checked out from the library the same way you would check out a book and bring it home.
Like binoculars?
Binoculars,
Oh, cool.
You can check out, you can bring them home, use them whatever you need to use them for, and then bring them back before their due date.
Can we play the record player?
We can
Is it
definitely play
plugged
the
in?
record player, yeah.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
I'm going to have Sandra come turn it on. for me.
We won't disturb it. But how interesting. So you can borrow the record player.
Yeah, just keep it right there.
Keep the volume down. This is a library.
Blast it. So how long do you keep the record player for? I think it's 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks. 3 weeks. The record player actually comes with the player that you see here, and then also you can choose between pop records and jazz. So we also have a jazz collection that you can bring home as well.
Awesome, huh?
So that's kind of
Nothing
fun.
like sitting around the campfire listening to the... imagine we've gone from instantaneous, anything you want that you're able to download with Bluetooth on your phone to let's take a step back.
Well, you can't beat the sound on a
It is
record player.
incredible, just incredible. And that's got a nice needle and everything. There's no scratches.
No scratch, not yet.
What was your, Jack Sully, I have a question for you since you're running one of the cameras. What was the one song that you played over and over and that it had scratches on it at the end? Was there one that you can remember?
Frankie Delica used to play. It was "I'm Getting Dizzy." Oh, I can't remember. And Sammy and I used to just keep spinning till we fell down over and over, and then we got sick. You had to stop.
Mine was Crimson and Clover.
Oh yeah, that's
Crimson and Clover over and over. It would just play it until it had so many scratches on it you needed a needle.
That's the lodge at Pheasant Run. They had the jukebox.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the color blindness.
Sure. So we also have 2 different glasses that are called Enchroma glasses. They're for people who suffer from color blindness. One is for indoor use and one is for outdoor use. And what they do is for a percentage of the population who experience color blindness, it actually can let you see all of the colors that someone who doesn't suffer from color blindness sees. So
cool.
Our kits come with Skittles and I think Google Earth, right? Is that balloons? A whole bunch of different things for you kind of to test the colors that you're seeing.
And just, taking things home wouldn't be correct unless you had...
A little ukulele. So this is another one of our collection. The ukulele's fun. It comes with a how to play ukulele guide. So if you want to teach yourself how to play, you can bring it home and take a look. And they come with a tuner as well.
But I can't help but to think of who, Jack? Come on, who? Tiptoes Through the Tulips, right? I can't. I embarrass myself. But anyway, it's got rules here, and you can take it home and learn.
Exactly.
Right, and then you can play Tiptoes.
We also have what has become our most popular item, which is a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Oh,
so this allows you to connect to the internet no matter where you are. So if you're taking a road trip, or maybe you don't have internet at home, or you're working away from home for some reason and you want to have internet anywhere you go,
that's cool.
This actually will connect up to 15 devices at the same time. And you can have it for a week, and then it has to come back to us.
Well, don't go any further than a week trip. Make sure you're back in a week.
We also have laptops here. We have regular HP laptops as well, but we have Chromebooks that can be used here in the library exclusively. So you
These are great.
check them out here on the 2nd floor of the library, and you can use them up to 4 hours
Telescopes,
here in the library.
Citizenship kits, chess sets, HP laptops, Wi-Fi spots, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo 3DS XL USB connected DVD drives, everything. That's
We've got
amazing.
a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think for our younger patrons, they'll be really excited to know that in the coming weeks we'll be introducing some gaming systems that they can check out of the library and bring home. Those will work the same way as the hotspots. You can bring them home for a week, play them, check out games here as well, and then bring it all back to us after a week.
Wow, this is great, huh? This is great. My name's Dean Mazzarella. We're at the Public Library, and if you thought that this was just about books and that you can get everything you want online or somehow or another through the internet, that's not the case, because there are a lot of things here that you can borrow, and that's what library is all about. Right?
Exactly.
Is exchanging things. Now, there are things here that people aren't always going to use, but let's just say, for instance, you wanted to use the binoculars because you wanted to go up to Mount Wachusett and sort of, you know,
Exactly.
got a couple days, you're going to go up and look for birds or eagles or whatever it might be, right? And then other times it might be something is on your roof, or you want to check your chimney out.
Yep.
And you know there's some cracks maybe in it, but you don't know how bad it is. So you want to take a look at it and see just what's going on up there, right? You might have some water leaks up there. That's perfect for borrowing things like that. Same thing with the internet. You might be spending a lot of time on the internet, and for a lot of people, they don't have internet access. Maybe they're working on a project. They can't come here all the time, too, or maybe they're physically incapable of coming here. They can borrow the hotspot.
Absolutely.
This is great.
Yeah, we'll also be having a camera system. It's going to be the GoPro Hero 7, so that'll be coming out in the next couple weeks as well.
Jack
so
can put it on his helmet. He can put it on 6th Street on his Schwinn.
We also have that available at Leominster.
Do you have one that you can borrow?
We got all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's awesome. That's really good to know. Yeah, so that's a perfect example of, we might not use it all the time,
Right.
but there could come a circumstance that you just want to try it out.
Right. And for a lot of times, like a ukulele, I mean, it's pretty inexpensive to even buy one, but you might be thinking of it, you take it home, maybe it's just not exactly what
Not
you
your
thought,
type.
so you saved yourself $50 or $100, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not something you wanted to do, or
Definitely.
maybe you wanted to just have your kids, you know, mess with it for the weekend to see if
they
maybe they
like it.
catch on to it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You never know.
We also have one more kind of traditional item. It's a book club in a bag. It actually comes with 10 books. It comes with instructions, guided reading, a journal. So anything you could possibly need to start your own book club.
And there are quite a few around, huh?
Yeah,
I've noticed lately a lot of people talking about book clubs.
Yeah.
You know,
So if you've ever wanted to start but you were nervous because it's a lot of work in the beginning, we kind of made it easy for you. You can just enjoy the book with a few friends and just talk about it together.
Jack, maybe we should get one, like Mad Magazine. We get it every month, and we'll sit down with a club.
I can't read.
Plenty of pictures in there.
Yeah, that's all.
Do they still have that folding thing in the Mad Magazine? Didn't they have one of the pictures that folded? That was the best part of the whole thing. Oh, this is great. And again, give the phone number or the website so people can go directly
Sure.
to it, or they can go to the city's website.
Absolutely. So our website is leominsterlibrary.org, and if you want to check out any of our library things, you have to come in person to the second floor of the library and go to the information desk and ask there. All you need is your library card.
That's easy enough. All right, plenty else going on. Come on, Sandra, we'll get you over here. We'll hand the mic off, and we'll talk about some other things that are happening here that you can promote through the summer.
Sure.
Let's give the hours first, because do they change during the summer months?
Yeah, so starting July 1st, we're going to go to a 9 to 1 p.m. on Saturdays.
On Saturday. Because it gets quiet towards the afternoons, I've noticed.
People are
in the
out doing
past.
stuff all day, and I
Yeah.
don't blame them. They're at the beach.
They're out first
at
thing in the
splash
morning.
pad.
Yes, they are. First
Exactly.
thing in the morning. So, but by 1 o'clock, it's wrap up time here. So
Yeah,
get what you need to get.
pretty
And
much.
Sundays you close, right?
Sundays we're
Yeah.
closed already. We've been closed for a couple of weeks
Yeah.
now, so we'll reopen Sundays in September. The Cormier Center, though, has some expanded hours. So we're open until 8 p.m. now 3 nights, whereas before it was just 9 p.m. on one night. And we're open every Saturday, 12 to 5, including the summer. So teens can take their time getting ready in the morning, or roll out of bed at 11 p.m. as they do, and then stop by the library, come hang out with their friends, play games, read books, do whatever.
So how do you do that? If the regular library closes at 1, there'll still be
Yeah,
somebody
in the summer
here?
that'll change.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the summer months it'll go to 1 o'clock?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
So it'll be open for 1 hour.
Right. That's okay. and describe the Cormier Center. I know it's sort of for teens. It's its own little section up here on the second floor.
Yeah, it's actually has a lot of rich history to it. So as you mentioned, Robert Cormier
Cormier,
before. This is the Bob Cormier Center for Young Adults. It's kind of famous in that way. Leominster has been a forerunner for teen services for a long, long
Right.
time. And as you know, Diane Sanabria
Yes.
She's in the
That's
paper this
front
morning.
page, above the fold.
Right,
She's got a big
exactly. I
article.
won't drag her over here. I don't know where she
She's
is.
downstairs working. I saw.
She's working hard. part. So we're actually in the process of hiring a new teen librarian. We have a few great candidates, so I'm really excited about that. We're going to get someone with a lot of energy who can kick it up a notch and still keep all of our favorite programs and activities.
And Robert Cromie, a big part of what he did was trying to get kids to read and try to write things that kids would relate to.
Absolutely.
It was a good story, but it was something you picked up. And I have to say, I think I've read most of his books, and they are. Once you pick them up, it's hard to kind of put them down later on.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with the references, obviously, to the city of Leominster. We call it monument and all of that. But so it was pretty interesting. But our big effort in the next coming fiscal year is going to be to try to get kids to read. And we talked about the decline by 9. Kids are slowing down their reading at 9 years old. We have to really boost that back up. Everybody knows you pull a book out to a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old. They'll sit there all night. They love their bedtime stories. But then what? After 9, it's like, well, are they too old for that? Are they reading? We all want our kids to read at a level that's greater than the grade they're in. So if they're in the 4th grade, we want it to be reading so we can tell all our friends they're reading at the 7th grade level. But the reality is it might not be fun for them to do that kind of reading. Maybe they want to read that book here. That's their favorite book that they want to read over and over and over. So what? It's reading.
I understand that parents always want kids to read the most difficult stuff, but sometimes they just want to read comic books, and that's totally fine too.
And have fun and enjoy it over and over. I've seen people read the same comic books over and over and over.
And the point is to associate reading with pleasure.
Sure.
So you don't want to force kids to read something that they don't want to read.
And summer reading, again, I think summer reading's necessary to keep your skills up. You have to do it. But it becomes torture for students, and somehow or another we have to find a way universally to make summer reading so it's not torture. So every kid dreads. You bring it up. It's like, hey, how's summer reading going? And that's the end of that conversation.
And yet
they break out in sweat.
Recently, we've had a lot of teens coming in to be the first ones to grab their summer reading books because we do run out. So I would come earlier if you want to come grab your free summer reading books. Another great thing that we're doing this summer is the Summer Eats program. That was also in the paper. So every day at 11 p.m. we're going to have lunch, and this is available for anyone under 18. So all the kids get to eat for free. And that's a great way of associating the library with something fun, with some social activities. So while they're here, we're going to have programs. They can come grab a book. They can do an activity, and that's just a free association. And hey, the library's great. Come down.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What else is happening that we could know about? Let's talk a little bit about the IT system that's in place here. We see people in the background here on, using, I guess, HPs or something that we use here. So they're using desktops.
Yes, so Brittany is really the person to be talking to about this, but I do know a little bit. We are getting brand new computers. These are 12 years old, so they've had a good life.
I remember we were supposed to have a 5-year life expectancy.
Right.
We did pretty good. We got 12, but they're mostly connections to the internet, right? I mean,
that's what people are doing pretty much. It would be great to have like a Mac set up with all the special tools, Adobe, whatever, but that'll be future thinking. For now, it's mostly just internet stuff, email, maybe some word processing, that kind of thing. So all of our computers are coming very soon. We're really excited.
And I have to say, we've got so many pieces of technology. We ran the technology. We had Clearcom, and I just wanted, for my own reference, I just wanted to see how many different pieces of software we run in the city. So in my mind, I thought maybe 20, 25. It was pages of software that we use to make the city run. In order to be a smart city, to get that keep that designation, you really have to be constantly looking at any gaps in technology throughout the city and what we use to fill any gaps that we might have to help our customers in our customer service and make us more productive.
That's why it was so essential for us to hire Brittany, our technology librarian, because I know some tech. I'm a digital native, but I don't know everything, and Brittany knows everything.
She can make the system.
She's behind me laughing. Yeah, right. So she's really coming up with a technology strategic plan and trying to keep up on technology. It's almost impossible.
It's trying to find those gaps where you might have that space where you're not fulfilling that particular need, but I think for the most part we're always looking at our ethnic communities. There's so many different languages that are spoken here in the city, so we're always looking at that, and how do we make things with more languages for people that are coming here trying to get their citizenships,
Yes.
Taking classes here. I mean, there's so much that happens, and it changes so quickly that staying up on, I guess, as I said, finding those little gaps to fill is critical.
That's why we've been going to a lot of conferences this year to keep up with what the library's doing, because it changes so quickly, and we don't know what libraries will look like in 5 years.
Exactly, and it's about adapting. And one department I can say adapts pretty quickly, it always has, is library services.
We have to.
What else do you want to show us while we're here?
Oh my
I don't
gosh,
know how much time
put me
we
on
have.
the spot.
No,
Let's
that's
see.
okay.
We have some new copiers. So this is our self-serve
look at this.
copier
This is
station.
pretty
Talk about
neat.
technology, right?
Come on, Brittany, tell me, get over here.
Drag
Because
Brittany over here.
all I know how to do is put money into it.
Right, so that's pretty much all you do. But it's really great system. We have a touch screen. We can take coins. Right now we can't take debit cards or credit cards, but we're working on
Yeah,
that.
that's the future.
These are some fancy, shiny new machines that make really fast copies, basically. So we're trying to not compete with Staples, but I want to be somewhere that people think of, oh, I can go to the library to make copies,
Right.
instead of going to Staples. We
So
are
how
cheaper than that.
expensive is it to make a copy?
So it's 15 cents a page for black and white and 25 cents a page for
It's
color.
not bad at all.
No.
So somebody might be looking something up and figures they don't need to take the whole book out.
Exactly.
But
Make a
they'd
copy.
like to make a copy. Like, hey, that's pretty interesting, right? I just
Right.
saw something in an old newspaper or something.
Sure.
I'd like, can they email it right to can you email it right to the copy?
Not at this moment.
No,
Right.
I mean, that would-
You can scan to email, yeah.
Okay.
So you can send it right to your email account, which I
that's-
do all the time
That's
in my
even
office.
better.
Yeah.
So if you know your email address, you can no paper comes out. You just scan it and it'll go right to you.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and it's what? That's
And it's free.
So you can make a copy from here and scan it to you for no money at all.
Yes.
That's you better charge for that's at least worth. What a great service.
Yeah, so these are pretty new. We're still getting the hang of them, so we appreciate anybody's patience if you do come in, but our staff is pretty well trained.
Yeah, once you do it a couple times,
Absolutely, yeah.
it
And
just becomes like, hey,
it looks fancier than it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks more complicated. There's all sorts of lights and
flashing
shiny
things.
things, but no, it's really easy.
and do we have any of the meeting rooms? Because sometimes I mention that to people. I'll say, well, why don't you just use one of our meeting rooms? And people are like, what meeting rooms? I'm like, they're at the library. Where? I said, so can we take a peek?
Yeah, for sure. So we have 4 study rooms, and they're good for people up to 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to have a small meeting, or if you want to do some tutoring, or if you have a small business and you want a quiet place to work, we have 4 of those. We also have what's called the Friends Room that's up in the penthouse
Mm-hmm.
floor, and that's good for, I believe, up to 10 or 12 people. That's the only room where groups can come in if they're not a nonprofit. So you do have to be a nonprofit to rent any of the other rooms. But
So we've just a couple minutes left here at the Leominster Public Library. Sonia, is there anything else that you want us to know about that might be happening, in the next upcoming weeks, or this summer, or maybe what's planned?
so this summer, our adult program kind of takes a little slow break. We'll do our monthly programs, but we're not going to plan anything big because you in the city are doing so many amazing events. So you'll be able to see our outreach coordinator, Marissa, at most of the events, including the Saturday out on Monument Square.
Right.
So in the fall, our programming committee just got together and we decided on our theme for the next year of programming. You're going to like this. It's called Share in the American Story. So we're going to kick it off with kind of like an Antiques Roadshow event. You can come, sign up, get a time slot, and maybe bring up to 3 items, talk about the history of it, and it'll get appraised right there on the spot.
that's awesome.
It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I'll tell everybody it's not worth anything. Then later say, I'll give you $50.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I'll take it.
This thing here is worth $5 million. Really? I always wonder if the things are really worth what they say they are.
Yeah, I don't
But that'll
know.
be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Also in the fall is a pretty big program coming based on 2 of our Leominster citizens that came to us and said, hey, I want to do this great thing. So it's called the Human Library Project. It's basically you check out people. So let's say I want to talk to a mayor. So you book a 15-minute time slot. You can sit down with that person and have a conversation about what it's like to be a mayor. So this will be a great way to have conversations with people from all slices of life across the city. That's coming, I think, in October.
That is pretty interesting.
No. No one wants to be in front of the camera.
No, nobody. Everybody's like walking and dancing around.
I know, right?
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks
that
so
was
much.
great today. again, come on
Come
down to
back
Leominster Public
anytime.
Library. There's plenty to do, and you will, if you haven't been in a while, you will notice how many things. Hello there. You will notice plenty of new things, and there's always something happening here, always a new program, and it's a great place to just come and sit and read. It's quiet.
Yep, peaceful.
I
On the
keep
second
walking
floor,
in
at
that
least.
front door. I keep looking to the right where all the magazines are, and I say, someday I'm just going to come sit here for an hour and read all. I love reading magazines.
In your
and
free
I'm just
time.
gonna, in my free time.
Yeah.
But I just keep walking because I never get any of that free
Right.
time. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. And we are back here at Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella. I'm the mayor of the city of Leominster, and it's summertime, it's construction time, plenty going on. We just gave you a sample of things here at the public library, but so many things going on at the Leominster Recreation Department, so you want to check the city's website, leominster-ma.gov. You can find every department in the city there, so it's a one-stop shopping. There's everything you need to know about the city, and trash pickup, and what you can bring, and what you can bring to the transfer station, and maybe what you can't. So either way, just go to our website. Always go to the website first, leominster-ma.gov, and if there's something you can't find there, then by all means try to contact us by email or give us a call. Anyway, some of the things that are coming up soon, just to put on your calendar. August 3rd is the Beer Fest, the Johnny Appleseed Craft Beer Fest, 3-7. Ladies' Night Out will be August 8th this year. Kids' Day will be August 17th. Dining Under the Stars will be September 5th. The Food Truck Festival will be September 13th. And the Fall Citywide Yard Sale will be September 14th. And then the Johnny Appleseed Festival the 21st of September, and the Cannoli Fest will be October 3rd. And then the Shoalin Farms Harvest Festival is October 12th to the 14th. And the reason I bring those up is because it is a constant reminder about events. Last week we had the stroll, and went very well, but there were people up to the last minute calling, when is the stroll, having the stroll, what time does it start? Yet we had so much information pushed out there. It's just a reflection of the times today. There's so much hitting people, and you have to, I guess, somehow or another go through it all and decide what stays in and what stays out, but your brain can only hold so much, and everybody's busy, and I mean everybody, so it makes it a little more difficult. So we just do our jobs and try to remind you. If you live or travel up through North Street, up off of Main Street, by the time you see the show, they will be paving, and there is 3 coats of pavement that will be laid down, and so that's exciting because it's been a lot of heavy construction up there, and I think people are looking for just smooth roads. Now, even when they put the base coat down, it will smooth things out and make a huge difference in the roadway up there. So they've milled it, and right now it's just chopped up, blacktop, all pulverized, and they smooth it out the best they can. But there are catch basins that are sticking up and manhole covers. So just be patient with us. They'll start on the 24th of June. You'll be seeing this show a little bit later than that. But this week of June 24th, they will start their paving, and they move pretty quickly. So again, working on another paving project. We're either going to combine the next 2 paving projects in the city, or do one by the end of the summer and then one in the fall. We'll see how that goes in terms of bidding. But we have quite a few other streets lined up. We'll spend a little over $2.3 million doing those streets. Our sidewalk contract has been awarded, and the contractors have started, and they're starting on West Street near Richardson Funeral Home. They'll be putting in sidewalks on West Street. We're going to be moving over to some spots downtown that need handicap accessibility. And so they do have what we call handicap accessibility and ramps, but they're really not to code, and they don't really meet the ADA requirements, so we're going to change those around. There are a lot more people, lot of elderly, retired people who aren't home. We have a very active community here, and people are out. If they're able, they're out. And we have, people that might have a disability or restriction, and we want to make sure it's safe for them. We want them to come downtown and use our streets and sidewalks, but we have to make sure they're safe. So anyway, we have a list of sidewalk locations. the area from 161 Spruce Street, which is where the high-rise is. 4th Street is the area where a lot of the elderly will that live in that project. They'll use that and to get to the bus stop, but they also use it to get to church, and that seems to be the worst area up on French Hill right now for sidewalks. So we will be replacing that as well. So our overall goal is to try to get to the sidewalks where it's the busiest, most dangerous, where there are schools, where there's the downtown area where there's just always people walking down here, no matter what the weather is, and so and then we branch our way out to other areas. I think on the show I've talked about how we use a granite curbing and a concrete sidewalk, and we do that because of its longevity. It lasts a long time. I was just in a community this past week, and they chose to go with concrete curbing and blacktop sidewalks, and it's just one winter it's been in, and it's just all torn up, and there's chunks of concrete taken out of the curbing. The blacktop is pulled up from plows and whatever else has gone on there, tractor trailers that pull up and over curbs. So we don't maybe get as many as we could possibly get done, but when we put them in, they're done. And then even the granite curbing holds up later. If they have to do the sidewalk over 10, 15, 20 years from now or longer, then it's just a matter of replacing the sidewalk, and the granite curbing is there. Granite curbing is here forever. We're not taking any calls tonight, but if things come up during the course of the week, by all means, leominster-ma.gov gets you all of our emails, but mine is dmazzarella@leominster-ma.gov, and that gets us in touch with each other immediately, or you can call City Hall and they will switch it over to me if you have a comment or a concern, or you just want to know things. And we try to bring you up to date on everything that's happening here in the city. If you've been up to Elm Street near Richard's Kennel, you will see that we have spent a fortune up there. Right, Jack? I mean, you go by that dam every day, right, up there on Elm Street. That huge dam is amazing. And we were leaking water out of that dam, and so that becomes the last huge project in terms of, dam and dam safety and water retention. So anyway, that project's ongoing. And we're hoping to finish that up fairly soon. But equipment-wise, we've been trying to upgrade our city equipment, our mechanics. We have people in every department, and we do just so much in the area of maintenance. But there is a life expectancy. If it's one of those trucks that's always salting and sanding, just don't get 20 or 30 years out of those. But the mechanics and everyone replaces the floor and the rotting if there is some, and until it just gets to the point where it's just not worth the money that you're putting into it to repair them and salvage them. And at that point, that's when we buy a new vehicle. And it's no different than other cities. We call it, equipment in a state of good repair. So how long can you repair it? How long can you hang on it? Can you extend the life expectancy out of it? And then at what point do you say it's just not worth putting any more money into them? So I think everything that we do, no matter what it is that we purchase, we far exceed the life expectancy on all of them. And if you have any questions, I didn't give you the phone number at City Hall. It's 978-534-7500. It will give you a phone tree and ask you which department it is that you're looking for. And be patient. It's a new system. Our extensions now are 4 digits and not 3. We are in the process of also upgrading the schools phone system, and that is, I think we appropriated $220,000 to upgrade that phone system. And that will allow them at the main office as well as Leominster High School to change their phones around. Basically, they're on the same phone system that we've been on, and they're just antiquated. They don't make parts for them. It seems to be the trend. I don't know, Jack, if you bought your kids' games, those, I don't know, Atari or any of those games at the time, but they would come out with it, and you would buy the whole setup, and then you'd buy all the games, and then something new would come out, and you'd have to replace the whole setup and all the games, and then another one would come out, and it gets very expensive. Same sort of thing with the technology many times that we're using, is they will gear you all up, you buy all this, and then later they just stop making parts for it, and they've moved on, or the company's been sold, and that's what happens to us. So that we're moving forward with, and that should make a huge difference in their customer service. And our overall goal for the city is to really get the schools, our goal is to make sure schools are safe, but also give them that necessary communication capabilities. So we equip them with a radio system that they can use through all of the schools. And anybody with any one of the radios that we've provided can just pick up a radio and communicate with us directly, or the police department directly, or each other, or from school to school. Same thing with the phone system, and it has incredible amounts of capabilities in terms of communicating with, parents and other teachers and other staff members throughout the system. So I think that's sometimes people will say, well, what's the new phone system do for City Hall? Oh, it's amazing. First of all, our ability to communicate with each other without being in the same building. And so we would have to actually pick up a phone and dial a direct line to that building that we were trying to communicate with, and then go through their phone tree to get their phone number for their extension. And now everybody has an extension. If you work for the city, everyone has an extension, and you just dial that extension. It puts us in touch with each other immediately. So those are some of the things that are happening in this late June month. It's hard to believe that June is almost gone. Just went past the strawberry moon. I'm not sure if the strawberries are ready yet, but I could sure use some. I wait for those every year. There's nothing like a native local strawberry, just like there's nothing like a native cucumber or corn or anything else. But it's not been a rapid growing season so far, but all you need is a warm July and everything will just pop right out. And things like peppers and tomatoes, etc., need that heat. That ground needs to be pretty warm for them to prosper. Anyway, you're watching Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, and lots going on this summer. Splash Park down on at Fournier Field is a busy place, and we've hired extra people to keep it clean and maintained and make sure that you have a positive experience when you're visiting it. And also over at Fournier Field, the old wood poles that hold up the lights, that light up the whole area, not just the fields, they are all, again, they've served their purpose. And they are old, and they're becoming unsafe, and the wood is cracking, and we'll be replacing those lights. So there are a lot of capital projects that we'll be working on this summer, a lot of construction projects that we'll be working on. A lot of people ask if the sheep are coming back. The answer is yes. And they ask what the equipment is doing inside the old landfill. And what happened is, through those huge rainstorms that we've had, it caused erosion. And so they started actually up at Mechanic Street, up at the old Mechanic Street, and they had to sort of build a new surface area with proper drainage, and so that they can capture that water and divert it differently than it's been, so that when it gets down to Mechanic Street, it doesn't just sort of wash out that whole area. So that's ongoing as we speak. We are on Merriam Ave right now, replacing water lines, and we'll continue as far as we can get with those water lines. People asked, why didn't we pave all of Merriam Ave? Because we were only able to get so far with the water lines this year, and then the weather changed drastically. And the last thing you want to be doing is running rubber hoses to each house up there when the weather has significantly changed and it's gotten so much colder. So we've picked up from where we left around Hall Street, and we'll continue on. So we try to get a couple miles a year of water pipes in. We will be doing paving Willard Street, but first we have to do the drainage work, so you'll see us working out there. Up where Fournier Field is out front, there's a huge culvert, small bridge that's there. That has to be replaced. That's collapsing, so that'll have to be done over. We may have to shut the roadway on Litchfield Street down for some time. We're not sure exactly when or for how long, but working on that as we speak. So yeah, just tons of projects. The police station project is moving forward. We hired Richard Marks Associates to be the project manager. Now they will help us to hire an architect. So after you hire the project manager, what happens is they basically help you through the rest of the steps of the project. They work for us, for the city. They will help us to choose the architect that we think is best suited to build a city police department station. A lot of the other companies might do just smaller little police stations that are stick-built and really are sort of pioneers in that industry, but we really need somebody that's going to focus on a city, more of a city building, meaning the size of it, not city meaning urban, but just the scope and size of the project is a little bit different than certainly the price tag is, and that's estimated at about $26 million. We don't have any plans to raise taxes to do that. We'll stay within Prop 2.5. We won't do an override. We won't do a debt exclusion. And just the same way we did here with the public library, took a 10-year loan, paid it off. The project was on time, on budget, and we've done the schools in the same way, and that's to benefit the taxpayer. So going through the budget cycle this year, went through as many budgets as I possibly could and read up on them, and there were debt exclusions and overrides throughout the state. We managed our way to good, steady, healthy, to a good and steady, consistent finance policies, which led us to the point where we're at, where we have some cash set aside in case of an emergency. You know, that big storm we had, that ice storm, that was close to $4 or $5 million. Most communities didn't have any money to spend before they could get reimbursed. The City of Leominster had some money in our little rainy day account. We were able to spend that money first. That way, we were able to get electricity back to our customers and get the city cleaned up. Anyway, I think we're out of time here. I want to thank you both, Keith and Jack, and everybody at the Leominster Public Library. Thank you for watching. Good night. God bless you. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. You need to show up. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you through the generous support of Colonial Insulation Company, residential and commercial insulation and fireproofing services, specializing in blown-in cellulose as well as spray foam insulation. For more information, visit their website, colonialinsulation.com.